It is rude to speak another language, in a room of people that do not understand that language. To me, it's the equivalent of whispering to someone so that no one else can hear what you're saying. I used to have Romanian coaches that would speak to each other about us in their native language so we could not understand them. It's actually quite rude and disrespectful to the people around you. Obviously, if you only speak one language, then this is an exception. But if you are surrounded by your peers/customers and speak another language, it's rude and disrespectful. Just a reminder that this sub is Unpopular Opinion BTW, because I know I'm gonna get bombarded by people calling me a racist for thinking this way. I think it depends on the circumstances. Are you as a group in the room? Then yes, it's rude, but not if there are random people that have nothing to do with you being there. My wife and I speak both English and Spanish fluently. I prefer talking to her in English than in Spanish because that's the language we're more comfortable speaking to each other in. Whenever we're speaking to our Spanish-speaking friends, we speak in Spanish, but if we're having a conversation among ourselves, even if our Spanish-speaking friends are around, we speak in English. It's just more comfortable to us. I understand your point, but I disagree. Sometimes people just want to have private conversations or talk in your mother language. For the non-speaker it might look disrespectful, and I understand that. Talking shit is talking shit, which is not cool. For me as a bilingual, it's just easy to switch into another language if it's a private conversation and I have an expression that can't translate into English. But I can understand why people wouldn't like it. What if it's none of your business? Like literally, not in the mean internet way. I think this is true only in a narrow range of situations, but can be true. Mostly if you're invited out in a small group and one or more people are speaking a language you can't speak, then they basically invited you there and then cut you out. If it's a large gathering, or if those speaking are having a private conversation in a professional setting, or if it's just two people in public, then no, it's not rude. I work at a nail salon. We are all Vietnamese, but I am younger than all of my co-workers. They're 35 to 60, and I'm 22. I was born in the US, but Vietnamese is my first language. But I speak English more fluently since it is the primary language I've spoken for most of my life. We get the occasional customer who openly complains when my co-workers are speaking amongst themselves in Vietnamese. The customers will usually relay their annoyance to me because I'm the youngest, most clearly American one of the bunch. They'll complain it's rude, they'll mention how they don't like it because they think we are talking shit about them. Some customers will even ask my co-workers to not speak Vietnamese around them. All of my co-workers were born and raised in Vietnam. Their first and main language is Vietnamese. It is the language they can actually use with nuance and personality. As a more limited speaker, I am a lot more shy and my vocabulary is limited in Vietnamese. I am not able to express my full personality in this language. The inverse is the same for my co-workers when they speak English. So when a customer complains to me about the workers speaking Vietnamese, I'll usually just, briefly, translate what they're talking about, to show them that the conversation has nothing to do with them. It's usually just something casual, like their kid's soccer game the other night, discussions about what online orders have been made that week, etc. They're just speaking to each other in the language they're most comfortable in. Why are strangers not involved in the conversation entitled to understand what they are talking about? If you think someone is talking shit about you when you hear two people speaking another language, I find that to be a very self-centered view, but also an insecure one. In my case, usually the customers that think we are talking shit about them are the problematic ones that behave in a way that warrants that we do complain about them amongst each other. Depends in the context, I guess. In a legal negotiation, not at all. In a friendly gathering of people, it could be. If doing so excludes less than half present, yes. If it excludes most people, not so much, the individuals a couple or close friends. No. I think context is important. If they're not talking to you, why do you expect them to tailor their language for your benefit? You're not entitled to understand what others around you are saying, and others have the right to speak whatever language they want. Nah, this is a pretty popular opinion from Americans whom can't speak another language. LOL, I'll speak whatever language I like. It's not like I'm saying anything particularly interesting to family anyway, so I don't see why anyone would want to hear or should care. De ce trebi sa fi de fi care data un Roman, attica cplm/s. I don't think it's rude. If you're not participating in the conversation, it shouldn't matter whether you understand the language they're speaking or not. I mean, I am fluent in 3 languages, but I will always choose to speak Greek when possible. It's just easier to talk in my mother tongue without worrying about my accent, finding all the right words, etc. You shouldn't worry too much, the conversation has probably nothing to do with you. Counterpoint, this doesn't apply to confidential conversations which you need to talk about, but don't have the time to do so in private, but you can do with people who all don't speak the language except the individual you wish to talk to. This also doesn't apply for those who wish to practice but are too embarrassed to do it around groups of people who speak the second language in question. You aren't entitled to listen to other people's conversations, my G. I worked at a company in America where the owners were French. They specifically asked if we knew French and would not hire you if you did. They claimed that they did this to talk business and trade secrets, but also talk about you in your presence. I learned a bit of the language after hearing them use similar words over and over again. Turns out they were not only insulting us but also making horribly sexually vulgar comments, to both females and males. It was disgusting and terrifying. Well, that's fucking stupid. It's mostly about the volume. I think it's slightly unpleasant for the brain to automatically try and process an undecipherable language that just comes off as noise, especially if it's too loud to ignore, like trying to watch a foreign movie with no subtitles.